welcome to my studio. So let's get into color. This is such an interesting topic and so much we can discuss. So I thought it'd be wise to start with some vocabulary so we're speaking the same language in discussing color. First, let's talk about local color. When we talk about local color, it's the color of something. So let's say these flags or banners that are being carried in this beautiful painting by Joaquin Sorolla, that these banners, the red, yellow, you might say, oh, you know, keep an eye out. The people are going to be coming through the parade, and my friend's carrying the banner with the red and yellow and blue on top. So that's describing the local color. Even though, as we will study, light, other objects can change a color and have an effect. In the case of even like here, this gentleman's wearing a white clothing, but that's really painted blue. It's being influenced by the sky. But local color is a way of describing what it is. This gentleman was wearing white. Though we might not paint it white, in the end, the description will be white. Okay, so hue. Hue is a color on the color wheel. Red, blue, purple, violet. Any color is hue. It's like just saying color in a way. Okay, pick a color, purple. Oh, that's the purple hue. Okay, easy enough. Chroma. Chroma I will use together with saturation. I think technically you could probably depart on either. I tend to use the word saturation, but either one, it's the power of a color, the strength. So a color that is vibrant is going to be higher in chroma than a more grayed color. Okay, so maybe in this, or let's say even that, use the oranges. The oranges are high in chroma. And let's find something that's not very high in chroma. Maybe the ground here. This is not really high in chroma. You could say it's a violet-ish color, but it really is in the world of gray. So the oranges would be high saturation, and the ground would be low saturation. It has nothing to do with what color it is. It's just a matter of how much color it has. Tint is easy enough. That's the lightening of a color, and shade is the darkening of a color. Okay, we'll go a little bit into saturation later in the lecture, but I just thought it would be good to talk about a few vocabulary words. So let's take the next step in color and let's talk about the primary, secondary, and tertiary colors. These are the primary colors: blue, red, and yellow. The idea is these are the basis for all colors, that you can't mix any of these colors. These are the colors that you can mix all other colors with. So it's not completely true. There's something called color bias, which will affect when you try to mix color. But for right now, let's go under the assumption that you can make all colors with these colors. So if you can make all colors, the next step after the primary is the secondary. So these colors are created using the top colors. Blue and red make purple, red and yellow make orange, and blue and yellow make green. So those are what's called the primary and the secondary colors. But there's also something called the tertiary colors. So if we're taking a look at this color wheel, we will see our primaries, blue, yellow, red, are what we use to create orange, green, and purple. However, there is something called a tertiary. And the tertiary is the in-between colors. Orange, yellow, yellow, green, blue, green. Any of these steps in between are called the tertiary. So when we're discussing color, and I know this is probably a review for most of you, but I just want to make sure if we're going to be creating environments and light, we need to all be on the same page for all this. So there's something called a complement, and that is the color on the opposite side of the color wheel. So the opposite of blue is orange. It's interesting to take note that the opposite of a primary is a secondary, always. Across from red is green, secondary, red's the primary. Okay? So when I say across, it means it has to be directly across on the color wheel. If I go, like that, those are both primaries, blue and yellow. You have to go directly across. the color wheel. So people talk about complementary colors, and they're going to become very useful because for a lot of reasons, but one of the main reasons is a complementary color helps desaturate color. It helps reduce the color in a color. The idea is if you have red and you want a red to become less red, then if you mix green, it's a good way to desaturate it. Another way to think of this is all the primaries together make a desaturated or muted color. Low in chroma is another way of saying it. Because if you think about it, red is a primary, and you are going to be mixing the two other primaries, which make green here. So red, blue, yellow is going to always mute a color, but an easier way to think about it is just go across on the color wheel. Now this is really important as we're mixing our colors. This isn't so much as seeing, it's just more understanding the world and what we're seeing. Then a split complementary would be we would use this color, but when we went across the color wheel, we would split the complement. And so this is a great way to get some vibrancy in our color and a way to find certain harmonies. But I need to stress again, I almost was a little concerned about talking about too much of this in the lessons, because I think we can get so locked into what these are that we're not just reacting. And I think we all have a certain reaction to color. But if we know them and we know the directions to go, they can help us. So then a triadic is anything that's evenly spaced. So let's start at red again. We go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. All right, there's our triadic color scheme. As long as you're evenly spaced around the color wheel, you can come up with some beautiful colors. I'll tell you, one of the most beautiful colors together to me is going the split complementary in violet right there. I think those are just, to me, when I find a scene or start getting in those, there's something special in the vibrancy and color that you can get. However, if you're going to be using any of these, it is important to remember that you'll have a dominant. So if this is my dominant, this green, then I'm only using a little of this and maybe even less of that. So that's important to say. We're not using equal amounts of all of them.